President-elect Donald Trump doubling down on a campaign pledge to track Muslims entering the United States after this week's terror attack in Berlin. Is his strategy necessary to defeat terror? Joining us now for a fair and balanced debate is attorney Cheyenne Alahi, the author of Standing Alone, An American Woman's Struggle for the Soul of Islam. Asra Nomani, thank you both for joining us.
Hi, how are you?
So, Cheyenne, first to you, you had told our producers that you think there would be too many constitutional problems with a ban on Muslims entering the country from certain terror hotspots. But where in the Constitution does it say that you can't vet people from places that are really dangerous in the world who might want to hurt us?
Sure, banning is not vetting. You're talking about banning Muslims. He didn't say vetting. Vetting is completely fair, and we should scrutinize everybody.
This week?
President-elect Trump said that he's going ahead. That's what your topic is. So let me talk about that. The pathology of President-elect Trump is to knee-jerk react to everything that happens in the world, right? Then he backtracks. He still hasn't given an actual policy on how he's going to go about this ban because it's not feasible. For any policy to work, it needs to be constitutional, politically acceptable, and basically has to be implementable, right? Someone has to implement it. How are you going to ban all Muslims? And if someone comes to the embassy and says, I'm not a Muslim, are you going to let them in? I mean, it's just not a workable situation. I think President-elect Trump has no idea what he's talking about.
My understanding of what the President-elect said this week was that he thinks that he's been 100% right about everything that he's said so far, but he did not call for a ban on Muslims this week from my perspective down at Mar-a-Lago covering him.
No, he actually said that. He actually said that. He was asked the question, hey, are you going to go ahead with the ban on Muslims? And he said, yes, I've been 100% right, and you know that I've been talking about that, and we're going to do that. I'm paraphrasing him, but that's exactly what he said.
Okay. Asra, question for you. Do you think that, what would be more powerful? The actual imposition of this ban on Muslims coming from a certain part of the world, or just leaving it out there that that is a possibility, that that could be something that's coming?
Well, the misrepresentation we just heard and the hyperbole is emblematic of sort of this Chicken Little syndrome that we've had from so many people in our Muslim community, where
so are you saying he did not say that?
They take what we need as very clear instructions. I don't think you need to be rude to me by interrupting me.
No,
Thank
I'm
you
asking.
You just made your point.
What we're hearing too with this kind of interruption is exactly what we experience in our community when we try to stand up.
One at a time,
when we try to stand up as Muslims for the kind of clear policies that we need against extremism, what we hear from our Muslim community is exactly what your viewers are listening to right now: misrepresentation and a deflection.
Are you for a ban?
And so what we need to do, what we need to clearly do, is stand up to the extremist interpretation of Islam and anybody who practices it. And so we need to protect our borders. And the clearest thing that I see from the Trump administration is that they can identify very explicitly the fact that we have a battle of our generation right now that is ideological. And I find that very refreshing. And what President-elect Trump said is that we are going to have a vetting process. Kellyanne Conway has come out. Kellyanne Conway has come out very clearly. Stop interrupting me. Kellyanne Conway has come out very clearly saying. She has come out very clearly saying that it's not going to be a ban on all Muslims, and there is going to be a very clear instructions.
If we are going to talk about what the President-elect said 2 days ago, the President-elect was asked if the attack in Berlin had him rethinking possibly adding a ban on Muslims entering the country from certain places. And all that he said was that he thinks he has been 100% right about everything so far. Just want to make sure that the record is straight.
What he was talking about was terrorism.
And Vladimir Putin sending a strong message to Hillary Clinton and other Democrats yesterday: don't be sore losers.
Yep, the Russian president slammed White House leaders for blaming their loss on Russian hackers during his annual press conference. President-elect Donald Trump agreeing on Twitter, writing this: Vladimir Putin said today about Hillary and Dems, in my opinion, it is humiliating. One must be able to lose with dignity. That is so true.
Here to weigh in is co-host of The Five, our buddy Juan Williams. Good morning. Merry Christmas, Juan.
Good morning. Merry Christmas to you and Ed, Abby. It's a delight to be with the two of you, especially you, Ed. You know what? For friends, you got to say a special Merry Christmas.
That's right. You're one of my dearest friends, so I'm glad you're here today. Yeah, we're very close.
So I have no doubt you've got some thoughts on this tweet yesterday from President-elect Donald Trump.
Well, I really liked the end of it. You didn't show this, but he said, that's fine what Mr. Putin had to say, but he hopes that they can have some comedy and don't have to go. And here I'm paraphrasing, if not quoting, we don't have to take an alternate path. And that would be more towards the idea of a nuclear arms race or some conflict between Russia and the United States. But Abby, overall, being the Christmas season, I'm kind of reminded of like the Grinch or Ebenezer Scrooge turning to the child that got coal under the Christmas tree. In this case, the Democrats having been devastated in the election and saying, oh, why don't you just be more dignified about getting the coal, about losing? You're a sore loser. I thought, boy, that really was putting insult to injury.
I do have to ask this, though, because when you talk about, our relationship with Russia and sort of this new chapter with President-elect Donald Trump going in there, it seems like every presidency past, the American people have allowed them to press the reset button, let them see what they can do. It doesn't seem like as many people are allowing, at least at this point early on, for President-elect Donald Trump to do that, just to at least see what he can do, to press that reset button. Why are people not willing to just give him the benefit of the doubt here?
Well, I think obviously all the events of the campaign season color our view of the relationship between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, and the idea that they've had a bromance and that they've praised each other leads people to really kind of cast a quizzical eye at what is the reality of that relationship, and is it the case that Putin wanted Trump to win because he believes that somehow that's going to help the former Soviet Union, Russia, regain some of its power and influence in the world. There are many Americans, including President Obama, who said recently that Ronald Reagan would be rolling over in his grave to see so many Republicans and so many Americans now open to the idea of doing business with Putin. And yesterday, Putin had a very intriguing response, Abby. He said, he thinks that Democrats should realize that Franklin Roosevelt would be rolling over in his grave to see them suffer so many defeats in the recent election.
Well, and on that point about Democrats, Juan, as a Democrat, what do you think about, Abby raised that point about giving each president a fresh start, even if there are raw feelings about the past election. You had this guy getting on a JetBlue flight a couple of days ago and accosting Ivanka Trump and her small children sitting right there. And then now you have these Hollywood stars saying they're going to do an alternative event. And it's a free country. They can do whatever they want. But they want to try to counter Donald Trump's inaugural ceremony. They want to boycott anybody performing at his inaugural. Why can't the man have a day?
Hey, I think he should have more than a day. And as a Democrat, I think I am even more of an American, and you've got to say he's our president. So I didn't vote for Donald Trump, no surprise, but you know what? I have to hope for Donald Trump's success because I want my country, I want my family in this Christmas Eve to do well, Ed. I think all of us want success for our country.
Juan, I like that message. We'll leave it there. You're not going to get coal for Christmas, I have a feeling.
Oh, you're a sweetheart, Abby. Thank you.
Right, Merry Christmas to you and Delise.
Thanks,
Merry
Juan.
Christmas,
Good to
guys.
see you.
Bye, Ed.
And some quick headlines tonight. Marks the first night of Hanukkah, the annual Jewish festival of lights overlapping with Christmas for the first time since 1978. Hanukkah will last through January 1st. And Italian researchers may have discovered the oldest nativity scene ever. The ancient cave art found in the Egyptian Sahara Desert depicts two parents, a baby, and a star in the east. The rock art is 5,000 years old, predating the Christmas nativity scene by some 3,000 years. Abby?
Thank you, Ed. So Americans more paralyzed than ever. A new poll taken after the election reveals that 77% feel that the nation is greatly divided.
So as 2016 comes to a close, what must Americans do to bridge this gap in 2017? Dr. Daryl Scott is pastor of the New Spirit Revival Center and a member of the Trump Transition Team Executive Committee. And he joins us now with an important message. Good morning, Pastor Scott.
Morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Merry Christmas Eve.
Yes, it doesn't seem like it, though. It came too fast this year.
Well, and it also doesn't seem like it to that point because there are a lot of people going home still very upset about what happened in November. How big of a problem is that?
I don't think it's as big a problem as the media depicts it. One thing I always say about anger is that anger wears off. I think it's still pretty new, the feelings, the emotions that are the result of a long, arduous, sometimes bitter campaign. And, there's a spirit of fear and worry and apprehension and nervousness and anger on America that's based upon political propaganda. But once it wears off, things will begin to normalize. Everybody get back to normal. But Americans aren't walking around hating each other and just being divided like that. You know, we're still fresh. The results of especially with the recount and then the Electoral College attention that it got. So this election is still fresh in everybody's mind, and it's still causing some polarization. But things will begin to normalize.
Well, you have a lot of Americans who are still a little bit skeptical about President-elect Trump. You were one of those folks years ago. You said you had an interaction with Mr. Trump that changed your opinion about him. Tell us your story.
Well, I met Mr. Trump nearly 6 years ago, and he was requesting prayer. He was deliberating whether or not to run for president in 2012 when he asked a group of ministers to pray for him in private, that God would give him wisdom and lead him in the right direction in making his decision. That's a side of Donald Trump that a lot of people don't see. We just didn't get out cell phones and take videos of it and post it on social media. But he's been deliberating being president for quite a while, and I got to know him. He's a great guy, charming, gracious, humble, hospitable, not racist, not misogynistic, not xenophobic. I know that Donald Trump, so it's easy for me to support him. It's easy for me to defend him because I know him.
So what is your message to those that haven't had the opportunity to get to know him the way you have, that are skeptical, that haven't seen that side of him and feel divided right now, especially during this holiday season? What is your message to all those Americans out there that are feeling a bit divided right now?
Relax, chill out, take a deep breath. After January 20th, we're going to enter into a great time in America. He's going to be a great president. He's going to work very, very hard. And he's not going to be satisfied simply being a great president or a good president. Donald Trump is going to do everything he can to be the best president America ever had. And you're going to find out that your fears and your worries and your concerns and your nervousness is unfounded, unnecessary. It's going to be a great time. He's going to be a great president.
All right, Dr. Darrell Scott in Cleveland this morning. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Merry Christmas, sir. Thanks for being here.